Hi. Today I'm going to talk some about self-responsibility. And I may talk a little bit about the law of attraction as well, we will see. But being responsible to self, fully responsible to self, to who we are, what we do, what we feel, what we think. Once we become an adult, and whatever age that is, I can't really pin that down, but when obviously we are not, and it could happen younger. I think if we had the perfect parent, I think we would mature very, very quickly, and very quickly recognize that we are responsible to self. And certainly our culture wants to, some of it anyways, some of our culture, some in our society want to place a responsibility of their life, their feelings, onto someone else. And are effectively doing that, and are effectively affecting change in our culture, in our society. And it's not a positive thing. It's an unloving action to want to do that, to do that, and on the other side to allow it to be done. As a parent, as God, I'm not saying a parent is God. I'm saying God does this, and a loving parent would do this, is to show and teach a child to understand what being self-responsible to their soul is, and would not enable them to continue in a manner that is opposite to that. Which means of taking responsibility for your actions, actually being accountable for your actions and your feelings and what you do. It's and we now this goes. It's even difficult to describe it sometimes, because it's so commonplace. Like we just like things we might say, things that happen, and then I might say, well, you made me feel this. You made me feel angry. You made me feel sad. That's not true. That just is not true. It really doesn't matter what they have done. They do not make you feel something. You feel it. You might feel it, but they didn't make you feel it. An interesting thing, if you think about two people and they're talking, and the one person says to the other person some very terrible things and very critical things, but they're speaking in a language that the other person doesn't understand. So that person is saying those things, they believe it, and they do feel critical of that other person, but the person receiving it, they don't know, because they can't understand it. But so it's not that person makes you feel it. They're saying the exact same things. If they said it in a language you understood, then you would feel, oh, he hurt my feelings. But you can see, if he said it in a language you don't know, he didn't hurt your feelings. You wouldn't feel that he hurt your feelings, because you don't know what he's saying. So you can see that that person didn't, those feelings come up from yourself, not from the other person. But that just happens a lot, where we kind of feel, that it's somebody else who has done something, and therefore we feel bad. But it's just not so. All our feelings come from within ourselves. And if we say that I have generally in my life not felt good about myself, but I can't, it doesn't matter what happens when somebody says something that reminds me of that, then I'm feeling my feelings. I'm feeling that because that's what I feel inside. And it's not because of what they say. If I didn't have that inner feeling, if I didn't have that feeling that I do not like myself and that I'm a bad person, if I didn't have those feelings, it doesn't matter what they say. They can say you're a bad person, but if I don't have those inner feelings in here, it doesn't matter what they say. So you can see that it's not so much what they say, it's so much what's happening here. And we can academically and intellectually try to split that all off and say, oh, okay, but in some circumstances, what they say does cause harm. We can go down that road, but that's the road that we're going down in the Western world, and it's just not true. There's such a thing as what's called the law of attraction, and it's a God's law, and we attract unto ourselves that which we need to grow. And if we can look at that in a positive way, then we could see how that is pushing us to grow, to spiritually grow. And it's like that man saying that I'm a bad person is causing me to look at, why do I feel that that's true? That's what is causing me. My law of attraction has pretty much brought me to that man who is saying that. And those are the things in my interactions that I'm going to remember, that I'm attracted to, because I feel hurt. I feel hurt because I'm hurt in here, not because of what they're saying. So that law of attraction is always happening, and it's not just for those things that appear negative. It's also for things that appear positive. Now there is some things I can do that do harm others, and just like expressing untoward anger at someone is a form of violence. And certainly any sort of physical violence is if I do it, I'm responsible for it. So any sort of coming from how I feel, and if I feel really angry and I express that forcefully to another person, then that's an unliving action. Certainly, it's not as though that they're reacting from it from their own feelings. If I'm being forceful, and I have done this, it's it's an unloving action. That I can't, again, that's taking responsibility for my feelings. If I'm responsible to my feelings, then I need to be responsible to my anger and not to express it, or I can say I'm angry in a calm manner, but just to push it onto someone else is an unloving action. Now I could walk away, ideally, and deal with my anger where I'm not hurting anyone or anybody else, to the point where I can get to where I could talk about it rationally, and come back and either have a talk rationally about it calmly or not. It's not necessary always to do that. And responsibility to our physical being. We are responsible to how our body is, how our physical body is. We kind of give that up to, I don't know, I can't quite figure it out where we give that up to, but we just feel that these things, physical ailments, diseases, happen to us. We don't really seem to have any sort of reason for that. It's maybe people feel it's God does that. I don't know. Maybe we just feel that man has done that by man's polluting the earth and feeding us bad food and bad water and whatever else. However, that's not the case. The case is that we are responsible for our bodies and what happens to them. Jesus talked about a man that he knows, a spirit in the spirit world, who lived to be over 900 years old. And I think there was a time, maybe very, very early on, that people lived a long, long, long time. But we now, and I mean, it would have went up and down. I think during the Dark Ages, or whatever Dark Ages there were, people did not live very long at all. They probably maybe lived into their 30s. And so from that time, even 100 years ago, I just heard yesterday somebody said that the age people lived to 100 years ago was not over 50. And now it's over 80. So there's just huge changes in how long our body lasts. We do bring these things onto ourselves, and it has to do with the law of attraction. How well our soul is doing really is what the driver of that is. And if we have been unloving to our soul, which means being unloving to other beings, other people, the earth, very many things, then our body will take that on. It's how emotionally harmed we feel we are as to the effects to our body. Now you might find that hard to believe. But I've been coming to that for a while, not even like prior to Jesus. I've thought about that throughout my life, actually. And it's a difficult thing to describe, I guess. I thought I would have an easier time, but I'm not. But it is important. Oh, and I'll just say that it's not like we, however we have treated our soul on earth, however much we have sinned, or however much we have been unloving on the earth, will be when our body dies and we go to the spirit world, really nothing will be different. We will be in a place that fits who we are. It's harder to see that on earth, I guess, because there's all kinds of different people around us. But if we have been very, very unloving, then when our body dies, we'll go to the spirit world, and we may want to go back to the earth often and a lot, and we will be able to do that. But at some point, you realize that where you're living matches the level of your soul, the level of your unlovingness or lovingness. And if it's been very unloving, then it'll be dark. It'll be very dark, and the people around you will be in the same situation you are in. And it may be very difficult to find a way to find the way to have spiritual growth to raise you up out of there. It will be there, and you can find it, and you will find it. But it just might take a long time. So, it's wise, I think, to come to terms with these things as much as we can while on the earth. And it's not like if we now I say loving or unloving, that's loving or unloving from God's perspective, not from man's perspective. So the more we can to just look into things, and you might even say, well, how do I look into it? Well, yeah, how do we look into it? I have chosen to look into it through the Divine Truth website, which has a multitude of teachings from it's just huge, and it's all everything that they teach. Every seminar they do, every talk they have is on the internet, and there's just a lot there, and that's coming from someone who has experienced everything I'm talking about and understands it and is able to teach it. So that's the best source, and in time we can have our own connection to God. We do have a connection. It's just might be very hard to access. But the more we are desiring to do that, then the more we do it, the better it'll be. And it's just, I mean, however many times a day you can think about these things, the better it will be. That's just the way it goes. So I will revisit this, of course, because this is huge, and sometimes I walk around and these things go through my head about what I want to talk about, and it seems clear sometimes, but this one's not that clear. But hang in there, or go listen to Jesus, because he can explain everything much better than I can. So if anything, and if anybody goes from one of these videos and clicks on that Divine Truth website that's always on every post I do, it's always there. And if anybody does that, then that's a wonderful thing. So, anyways, if anybody's out there, if you're still listening, and I appreciate it, and thank you.